Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I went to go see Secret Life of Pets 2. I did a review of it, you can see that up in the description. But today I'm going to be ranking all 10 Illumination movies from the worst to the best. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Coming in at last place for me, I'm gonna go with Dr. Seuss's The Lorax. Now The Lorax was an interesting story in a book. It's a good story on a book, but in a movie, it turns into a disaster. This film is a major disaster. And a lot of people don't think that. I might be the only person in the whole world who puts The Lorax as the worst Illumination film. I really don't like The Lorax. I think what it does in this franchise does a bad job, ruins. The best character is easily the Lorax, and he is just a little furry guy. I mean, come on. Nothing is interesting about this film. No one has any good dialogue, so this comes in at last place. At number 9, I'm gonna go with one that a lot of people would think would be in last place, and that is Hop. Hop is a good film. Hop is a good enough film for me to sit down and watch at Easter time. It's a once-a-year movie. This isn't a film you go out and watch in July. It's a once-a-year movie that Illumination decided to make. Also, this is the only Illumination movie that's live action. I actually think it does a pretty good job. It has a strong, heartfelt message. So it doesn't come in complete last place, but it is still a weak movie, so it's at the lower half of the list. At number 8, I'm gonna go with Minions. Minions is a good film, but I want to put this higher than the list. I really do. I'd say that I'll give it this. It's easily the weakest of the Despicable Me franchise, but it's still a good movie. I like it. I think that it is an interesting take in the Illumination, but at the same time it feels a little bit unneeded. Did we really need a prequel inside of the Despicable Me franchise? Who cares how the Minions started? We're focusing on the now, Gru, the girls. We don't need a prequel, so I can see why some people would think it's a bad movie. I think it's a good movie, but it's just not necessarily the best movie. It's at the lower half of the list, so that is my number 8. At number 7, I'm going to go with 2018's The Grinch. Benedict Cumberbatch's take on The Grinch was interesting in 2018. For me, I would say The Grinch is very of its time. Don't get me wrong, back when I first saw it in 2018, I thought it was the best Illumination films, and that's because it's of its time. But then when you think a year after The Grinch has come out, it's of its time. And a year later, it wouldn't necessarily be as high on a person's list. I think it's a good film, and I really want to put it higher, but unfortunately, it comes in at number 7 because there's not much in it I can relate to, and the other films on this that are higher on this list are the ones I absolutely love. This one, there's not much I can relate to. It's just really out in the open, and it's really just a little bit, at times, not as big of my perspective as a better film. So that's why it comes in at number 7. At number 6, I'm gonna go with Despicable Me 3. This film, in my 2017 ranking after Despicable Me came out, I had this after Despicable Me 3 came out. I had this in first place because I really enjoyed it. Nowadays, I can see how it is very mediocre and cliched at times. I can see how it's not a good film, not a perfect film, but it's still an okay film. I think it's on the lower half of the list, but that's only because I feel like Gru meeting his brother, that was a little bit bad acting. I feel like we needed some more emotional depth. But other than that, it's a pretty good film, and I love the 80s version, the kind of like that 80s vibe they throw in. Because, the villain, he's from the 80s and stuff. He's very 80s. But, yeah, I think it's an okay film, but it's not the best film. So that's why it comes in at number 6. Bringing us into the top 5, bring us in the top 5, the higher half of the list, I'm gonna go with Despicable Me 2. I like Despicable Me 2. Coming off of the first Despicable Me in 2013, I was very excited. I went to go see this film, and I walked out of the theater very happy, but a little bit disappointed. I wanted this to be an interesting film. I felt like it was really just a mediocre, like 1 hour, 20 minute sequel to Despicable Me. There's nothing really special about it. It's just there to be there, and so it's nothing special about it. It's really just, it's of its time, just like Despicable Me, just like the Grinch. So it comes in at number 5. At number 4, I'm gonna go with one that I actually really like, and that's Sing. I really love Sing. I think it's an amazing film. It has this good, heartfelt message, and it's very good. However, there are some problems I had with it. At times, it's a little bit too out of the box, over the top. I wish that we could have dialed down on the over the top. But it's not a bad film. It's a good film, and that is why it comes in at number 4. Before we get into my top 3, just want to point out these are the films I think are absolutely the best. So let's get to it. Bringing us into the top 3, I'm going to go with The Secret Life of Pets 2. Coming off of, I just saw this film 2 hours ago, and I am still very, very, very happy. I think I walked out of that theater very happy. I thought it was a very interesting sequel to the first Secret Life of Pets. However, it's not better than the first Secret Life of Pets. I think it's good, but it doesn't do a better job. There's nothing much to say except it's a good sequel, and there's nothing much to say because no spoilers ahead. So without further ado, yeah, Secret Life of Pets 2 is my number 3. At number 2, I'm going to go with the first Secret Life of Pets. I really just think this is an amazing film. It's got a good heartfelt message, a good story. A lot of people say it's too much as a ripoff of Toy Story with dogs. I absolutely 100% do not agree with that. I think it has a good message. It is a perfect film. This film is just really good, so it comes in at my number 2. But at number 1 for me, I gotta go with Despicable Me. This was the first Illumination film I ever saw in theaters, and one of the first movies I actually saw in theaters. After Toy Story 3, I went to see this. I was very happy with the results. I thought that they did a perfect job. It is a very good movie. It's easily the best Illumination film, so it comes in at number 1. Anyway, go ahead and tell me down in the comments below, how do you rank among the 10 Illumination films? Which ones are good, which ones are bad, or which ones are in between? Love to get your take on it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and peace out.